Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another high level best of 3 between today in the bottom left as our purple Terran player playing for Team Liquid with a polar bear spinning around his command center. It's Clem. And in the top right as our yellow Zerg player playing for Team Ents Esports, Ents Gaming, the Finnish team. It's going to be Serral. I can't recall right now if it's Ents Gaming or Ents Esports. I feel like adding gaming or esports to the end of your team name should actually be illegal because it's impossible to remember which one it is. If your name isn't good enough to remember just by itself, then it's just not a very good name. It's the case with all the esports and gaming and the gaming team. Just make it not like Team Liquid, you know, you can't forget about that. Shopify Rebellion, you know, it's the end of that. Cloud9, these are good names, but Super Gaming or Ents Esports. I think it's Ents Esports. I do like alliteration, so that's nice, but yeah, just make it easy. Make it something powerful. Anyway, that's not going to matter too much, or at least I can imagine that the team names are going to come into play this series. So we have Clem opening up with a reactor first, rather than his standard Reaper opener. Now, what does that mean? It means that he can start producing Marines out of a reactor relatively quick. A Reaper costs 36 seconds to build. Marines cost 18 seconds to build. Now, for the people who paid attention in elementary school, they know that 18 times 2 is 36. So if you build a Reaper, you're cutting 2 Marine waves. So if you get a reactor after a Reaper, you'll have 4 less Marines rather than when you would go for a reactor straight away, which is what we're seeing here. So basically, you get 4 Marines in place of a Reaper. Now, of course, it does cost extra money. You save a little bit of gas, but you do have to pay 150 extra minerals for the 3 extra Marines that you're building in that time. It's just a little bit of, something interesting there. These are facts. These are all facts. That's what it is. Everything I say is a fact. Starport is halfway done, and this feels a little bit like a Hellbat all-in, but we're not seeing an armory go down quite yet. Of course, it could start after the medevac as well. It would be pretty logical order in my mind. Continued Marine production, usually, 99% of the time means it's a Hellbat all-in. There we go with the medevac. See a new depot coming in as well. We have a major SCV cut. It is indeed going to be a Hellbat all-in. Ay. As said. Continued Marine production. Anything past 4 while you're building Hellions usually turns into this. Now, Serral's going to try and get the scout off here. And we'll take out that depot. Clem F2'd forward with everything and almost showed his hand there. Didn't quite though. There are 4 queens out currently, 5th one about to pop, 6th one halfway done. No Baling Nest, no Roach Warren, no Hydra Den either. The fact that there's no Hydra Den is actually a positive, but not having a Roach Warren or a Baling Nest kind of sucks, because ideally you want to be capable of getting a couple of Banelings against this. If you blindly build a Roach Warren, that's also great, but a little bit less common, especially out of Serral. Baling Nest will be thrown down right now, but Baling Nest is a structure that takes quite a long time, 43 seconds. And the armory is already done. Liberator as a follow-up. There's 6 Hellbats here right now. Marines taking a big amount of damage already before this fight really starts. 1 queen goes down. Medevac's being targeted as well right now. More links are in production. So are 3 more queens. Do we still have some transfuses remaining? I do believe that 1 will come online pretty soon. 3 SCVs going down at the same time though. Nice little ling run by coming out of Serral here as the Medevac gets targeted down. Hellbats will remain alive for now, but I think this is going to be a pretty successful defense here out of Serral. As long as he doesn't lose too many extra drones, I think he's going to be just fine. Lots of links being created, perhaps a bit of overkill, but you'd rather build too many links rather than dying. At least most Zergs rather stay alive with, with less drones. Some people, they'd rather have money and then die with it than staying alive with a little bit less money, but it's not quite the case. Some people even die for something like a ring. Once saw this documentary about these 2, what are they called again? Hobbits, who had to go to Middle Earth to throw a ring in the lava. A little creature with them. I can't quite remember his name. Who, in the end, spoiler alert, died because he wanted to go with the ring into the lava. That is the type of stuff that you very often see out of Zergs as well. They rather have 10 extra drones and then they end up dying to a Hellbat all-in. So we call a golem move. There we go, Clem, that was his name. You don't quite want to do that. Most of the time you'd rather stay alive like the Hobbits. Also, if you ask people who actually have watched the movies, would you rather be Gollum or one of the Hobbits? Sure, you have hairy feet. You might smell a little bit. The best thing you've ever eaten is bread, but Still rather be an alive hobbit than a dead golem. Serral's popping out a couple of extra upgrades right now. This is all post layer. So rushed into that layer, now getting the double evos as well. I mean, he just has so much freedom right now. It's a real issue. Look at that creep. That's actually bananas. This is first person this for a little while. Clem is not going to push out for another 35 seconds. This Overlord was pooping on the third base location. The fun thing when watching Serral is that except for the injecting part, he doesn't move super fast with his screen, if that makes any sense. It doesn't look chaotic. It actually looks quite clean in a way. Like, it's easy to follow. He's just moving it. He almost looks slow. And I'm not saying that he's a slow player, just it looks so organized. It's very nice to watch. It's the same if you watch from behind him. He just looks very clean. It's easy to follow, don't get a headache. It's exact same with Rainer as well. These two guys have such clean mechanics. Often clean mechanics also mean organized mechanics. As we see a lot of moves here being made on the minimap. Or through minimap vision at least. We saw these drones being pulled away very, very rapidly. At the same time, good rotation here coming out of Serral. Just predicting where these medevacs were going to be going. Of course, he has good vision on the left side. And with the process of elimination, managed to figure out where this army was going to go. It's either the right side or they're not going to be anywhere. I guess could have technically moved into the dead space here. Serral is just up 128 supply. This Helmet push is not going to succeed, most likely. One more Bane's going to get targeted down. And these medevacs will pick up the Marines going in towards the main base. There's no Queens in position in the main base. Spore's also not quite in position. A little bit of a mistake here out of our Finnish Zerg player. So you see Clem scan towards the left side, seeing that fourth base without gas. I'm not so sure what that tells him, but he was very keen on scanning that base. Perhaps he believed he was in such a good spot that this actually was the fourth base. Now realizing that there's already a fourth base on the far left side, maybe makes him a little bit upset. 2-2 is going to start faster here for Clem, who's following this up with mines rather than tanks. The golden standard has been tanks as of late. Clem is not really joining that party though. He's a bit of a hipster. He's already playing something new, or in this case something old. That's a little bit retro. It's going to be the mines here. Helmet drop is going to be F2'd back home. I don't think that was quite intentional. Helmet's going to drop on top of these links and banelings here. Will deal a little bit of fire, chaos, what's it called? Splash damage, there we go, that was the word I was looking for. Of course with that cone splash of the Helmet, that cone shape in which they deal that splash damage. A lot of creep has been cleared on the left side. There's not that much creep either leading up towards this high ground. But as Serral is still up about 30 supply, I don't think that is going to be a major concern for him right now. 82 workers out as well, 4CC starting just now. I mean, 5th is going to finish as the 4CC starts here for Clem. It is not uncommon for Terrans to be down a base, but being down 2 entire bases, yeah, that kind of hurts. Especially given that the upgrades are very, very even. We already have an infestation pit coming up as well, so the possibility of hive and eventually lurkers and vipers is definitely going to be there. Triple mine production is on the way. Wouldn't completely surprise me to see a couple of tanks being added in at some point as well. None of these mines will get any connections here. No drilling claws quite yet. Groove Spine's about to finish up. Decent fight for Clem. Of course, still has these double medevacs with the 8 Marines on the right side, which are forcing a chunk of the army to stay home. Clem now rotates towards the middle of the map. Single scan here could clean up 7, 8 tumors, but does not get a lot of active tumors. Look at this. There's 2 active tumors here on the bottom that perhaps he can shoot, but that is about it. Needs to be so careful here on creep. 1 mine is going to connect. This is going to be a full-on pickup. I do hope that the boost is available. There we go. It's going to end up losing a couple of Marines. Won't be the end of the world. Immediately see a rotation towards the far right side. Needs to be careful though. Loses 8 Marines in the medevac. 8 drones go down somewhere. Looks like a mine drop hit this 4th base. Now these mines try to move into safety and of course will not quite get there. Unless Serral believes that he already cleared 2. Oh, I think he does actually. No, he doesn't. Never mind. Serral's a bit of a genius. It has been said before. 4th base is going to land 10 minutes and 40 seconds in. That's a very late 3rd base, especially for Clem, who's known to love his triple CC openers. This time though, with that Helmet Alain not dealing enough damage. I saw that. Oi, 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 Serral falling asleep here at the wheel. For the people who missed that, in the corner of my eye, I saw a couple of banelings connect with the rocks just as they were about to die. I'm not sure how many it was, I'm pretty sure it was 7-8 Banes though. It was a decent chunk of Banes. We might take a look at the end of this game, what it actually was. Serral's still in a fantastic position though. Look at that bank here. Complete domination out of the Finnish Zerg player. Don't think those 8 Banelings are gonna make him lose any sleep whatsoever in this game. Viper on the way. This is something that we've seen a lot recently out of the top Zergs. I'm thinking Solar was the first one to truly play like this. Getting the Lurker then, getting the Lurker upgrades as well, but not really getting any Lurkers. And just playing Hydra Bane Viper for an extremely long time. The one thing that I have to kind of give this style is that it allows the Zergs to often take out fort bases a lot more than it would with the seismic spines, especially against camping Terran. Now Clem isn't much of a camping Terran, and against someone with Clem style, I actually wouldn't mind seeing a couple of Lurkers. Don't worry, like I still believe that Serral is ahead and that he most likely is going to be capable of winning this game. But fighting against someone that tends to be as aggressive as Clem, we see he's still not building any tanks either. This is just pure mines, which means that he wants to be out on the map. Getting a couple of Lurkers is super useful. Low ghost count, high mine count, lots of bio. That's kind of what Clem does best, and Serral should be aware of that, but for now is going to stick with the Hydra Ling Bane Viper. 48 Bane, 7 more on the way, brings the total up to ding ding ding, 55. 3-3 about 40% done here for a French Terran player. Woo! You'd see micro there. One mine gets a connection with just a single link. The next few mines actually not going to connect with all that much, and that planetary is gone, so command center right next to it didn't get the cancel either. One Viper will end up falling, so resources lost wise, I'm not even sure how great this was. Yeah, we see Serral falling a little bit behind, but for the momentum this was brilliant. Taking out 2 bases at the same time, there's no backup command centers here. Clem's feeling the pressure a little bit. Feeling the hot breath of Serral in his neck. That's not good. Gonna have to split black, but with no mines available here for this fight. I don't think this is going to be it. There's simply too many Banelings. This is partly on creep as well. Clem's trying to micro his way off creep, but it's gonna get absolutely blasted here. Pathogen Glance already done. Neural Parasite on the way. In StarCraft 2, you often have like counters, and then that unit gets countered by something, and then that unit counters something else. The Infestor is like the final step for Zerg field fight. You know, it's what you do if your opponent is on 7 bases and trying to camp. At this point, Neural Parasite is already being researched. We already have these Infestors out on the map. Like, Serral is like on a different level. Absolutely on a different level. It's completely unfair. This is like having a fight with the Romans and bringing like an Uzi or an AK-47. It's like a couple of ages ahead, basically. I actually wonder if the Roman armor would be capable of stopping bullets. It wasn't created to stop bullets, but it still must have been pretty thick, no? Stop arrows, swords. Probably was capable of stopping like at least the smaller bullets. One can wonder. Mine! It's not gonna get a connection. Sometimes Serral waits super long to get these mines down. Gets it in the end though. This one might get a connection. Actually gets a pretty decent sized connection, but it's too late already. Clem taps out, and Serral, it's game number 1. Here we are in game number 2, and this time around we see Clem opening up with a Reaper opener. Let's actually follow this Reaper for a little bit. Let's see what Clem can do with it. Oh, it's very impressive, this type of micro. It's insanely fun to see the difference between a higher level player and a lower level player when it comes to this. And it's especially fun when you see a higher level player playing against a lower level player, because then you can truly see the difference in Reaper and lane control. It feels like these guys aren't doing all that much, but I guarantee you put a 5.8k Zerg player, which is still Grandmaster for the people that are unaware, if you would put him against Clem, he probably ends up losing 2 links here. Well, Data C is one of the larger maps, so maybe on this map 2 links is a bit much. You do the same with a lower level Terran against like Serral's link. Serral's not gonna lose a single link. I guess did not end up losing a link here either, but the difference there is actually huge when it comes to control. I can't exactly quantify what it is that these players do so well. It's just they know the movement of their opponent's units so well that they can kind of anticipate what's going to happen. You get this weird looking dance, and Clem is exceptional at it. One of the best players in the world when it comes to Reaper control is someone that not a lot of people would expect. And whenever I talk to Zergs, and when I talk to other tossers alike as well, they always say that Kalazur has some of the greatest Reaper control. It sounds a bit weird, because Kalazur by no means is a tier 1 player, but when it comes to his initial Reaper control, it really is extremely impressive, and it is extremely good. Here we see a little bit of an annoying situation. Mule's going to stay alive. Big deal there. Mule still had a lot of, well, a lot to live for. Wasn't close to his death yet. 12 HP remains on it. Don't forget that a Mule over its lifespan, when put at a close by mineral patch, ends up getting 225 minerals before exploding into its parts. These things aren't built to last, Mules. This is the consumer society, you know? Just buy. It breaks, you just buy a new one. It's really with Mule. All you use is energy as well, you don't even have to pay for it. Feels like there's no downside. One day these Mules will just stop working for you. Like, poof! Into nothingness it goes. Useless. Absolutely useless crap. Where was I? Right. The control. Yeah, control of these players is fantastic. Actually very impressive. I was thinking what would be fun is if we just have a couple of games in the future. It's nothing to do with this game. And I just sit in the first person and we kind of talk about what a certain player could or should have done in certain situations. So just an entire series from the perspective of one of the players. If any of you are interested in that, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you say that sounds like a terrible plan, Kevin, please talk about this game. Also let me know in the comments. We got 8 cars out right now, as well as a single liberator. This was without a Viking. It's almost disrespect. This is disrespect to Serral. You know that? Why is this disrespect to Serral? Because liberators are relatively easy to deal with already for a player that is as quick and as aware as Serral. However, if you have Overlord vision, that makes it even easier. So often whenever we see Terran players open up with a Liberator, or if they want to use Liberator harass, they fairly often open up with a Viking, so they can at least push back those Overlords, allowing the Liberator to go unspotted for a little bit longer. That's not quite the case here, and that can make life a little bit difficult. Liberator, 51 HP, will need to go home right now. Could be just set up defensively, of course, over at the 3rd base. Could also just be set up to deny any potential 5th bases. This is a move we see fairly often. It's when a Liberator just kind of sits at a base, which Zerg eventually wants to take. If this Liberator had been set up, these Marines didn't need to stim, but I guess hindsight is 2020. There's no real downside to setting up the Lib though, while you're repairing it, of course. There's absolutely zero downside there. Queens are going to put out a little bit of damage here. Hellions are getting rather low. One Hellion's about to fall. Wouldn't mind if that bad boy gets sent back home. We have an armory on the way, and this is a fast armory. That's not because the ebays are so quick. That's because I believe this is going to be a little bit of a hellbat push here. Liberator indeed set up defensively, and that means that any type of small amount of units in the run-by is not going to work. If you have a big Ling run-by, that might work. A Baneling run-by is definitely going to fail against this, especially given that there's also a tank on the high ground. This is the type of, like, if there's Hellions, for example, Banelings is usually better as a run-by. But if a Lib or a tank is at home, then a big amount of Lings is a lot better. Because then the splash of the tank deals some damage. And also because you have so many Lings and this is a single target unit, actually tends to help. Hellion's not going to be staying at home. They will be joining up with this push over here. A couple of these creep tumors going to get taken out. This is pre-1-1, still no combat shield either. Clem is going to get completely destroyed here. Will get pushed back, and for the 2nd game in a row, Serral takes a significant lead here in this game. Up 20 supply already, is getting these upgrades right now. That's what, 1-1 halfway done. Clem is going to finish them up a bit faster. Has a really fast fort base, so that is just a huge difference. Remember in that last game I said Clem is landing his fort base right now at the 10-minute mark. This time, or maybe even 10 minutes and 40 seconds. I think it was something along them lines. This game is going to be closer to 8, 8:10, 8:20. It's a solid 2.5 minutes faster. This also means that the follow-up production is going to be faster. Something that's interesting to note, by the way, here, is that we see a high amount of Marines. Now, this is not new. This is not weird. However, recently we've seen Maru play a lot of higher tech lab counts, adding in more and more Marauders quicker, allowing you to deal very well with these banelings and also making that micro against the banelings a little bit easier. I especially like that against quick layer rushes with quick baneling speed, that type of stuff. Of course, oh my good lord! Oy 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 oy, Clem! Ooh. Falling asleep at the wheel over here. Just be happy that he isn't driving a car or a bus. I don't think he would have quite survived that there. His Marines will not be returning back home, that's for sure. He ate some baling meat there. Not the roasted kind either. Mine, not quite going to get it. Ooh, get the connection in the end. It's not good enough though. Ooh. Some nice retargeting coming out of Clem, but the mine will end up falling against the baning. That's always going to be a good trade for Clem, right? 3 banes against 1 mine. Cost efficiency wise, that's a good trade. Like, actually in a fight, a lot of the time it's probably worth it for Serral. That's like Serral made that a decision as well. It wasn't that it was an accident that he lost his 3 banes there. In these fights, it's often... Did he forget his combat shields? Oh, Clem, you gotta be kidding me. Combat shield's gonna be finishing up here at the same time as 2-2 will. These fights so difficult to fight here for the French Terran player. 22 more links are on the way. As we see Serral setting up right now for a bit of an attack, but a tank in the far back is going to stop that. We see the hive already nearing completion right now, as well as Burrow on the way. Creepspread once again looking fantastic. The map vision for Serral here is insane. Look at this. That's actually mental. Lingbane cleans up this army as well, once again. Clem a little bit too slow. As 2 Vipers are being produced. Lurker Dan is, what, 20% done here? Something along those lines. Adrenal glands. We'll have to wait and see how this is going to pan out here exactly. So a bunch of Hydra Lingbane on the right side. 10 STDs just went down as well. Clem kind of moving away from his more standard style with the mines and starting to transition into a heavier tank count. Could potentially allow him to get into those ghosts a little more safely. A map like Nydusses, perhaps a smart move. Of course, it's a map where the first 4 bases are very easy, but the 5th base is a tricky one to take for Terra. Can't really take this one too far out of the way. This one on the right side requires a good tank positioning. The moment you take this right side base, you can imagine tank, a tank over here. You want to have a tank on the right side. You also want to have some tanks up on this area. So it really leaves 2 massive areas that you need to cover with a lot of tanks. And it can be quite tricky. Sensor towers could of course help in this process, knowing where your opponent is going to attack. Problem is that the aggressive rotation of the Zerg is always going to be faster than the defensive rotation of the Terran. 2 Vipers are being sacrificed here. Extremely sloppy play here out of Serral, who's just going to move off creep right now. After already taking a terrible engagement to start with, it's kind of going to get blasted here. Was not a very efficient fight whatsoever. Down 2.5k resources at this point. I'm not quite sure what it was before this. God knows, this wasn't it. This absolutely wasn't it. 2 more command centers are on the way. Did any tanks go down? I do believe that 2-3 tanks end up falling. That's nice. It allows Serral perhaps to go another time in the near future. Serral, ooh, with the Nydusses here in the natural right now. Clem, are you paying attention? What are we doing? Okay, sees it, sends over the units in time. I do believe tank is going to siege up at the same time though. Serral coming from the front. Tanks in the back will be capable of dealing with this. Like I said, this 5th base is just so darn tricky to deal with. Still have an oversteer in the far back as Clem moves away all of his units. Now it's now going to put this 1 tank in the main base once again. A new Nydus is going to be set up here. What actually is in that Nydus? You see a bunch of links. That's about it. That's what, 16-ish links? Yeah, 16 links. It's not going to be enough. I don't think so. Saw a siege up tank there somewhere in the main base. Now we see another Nydus going down in the natural. Clem not really paying attention to that one yet. Did not expect it to go so fast, I guess. As Serral continues putting on the pressure, not just at the front, but also with this Nydus network. There's some potential here for this Nydus. There's also some potential for this attack. EMPs are not quite going to connect. Tanks in the back a little bit clumped up. Think over here, look at this bad boy. 16 kills already. Ghost will be microed back. Not enough Marauders to really tank a lot of that damage. As Planetary is going to get taken out, but the supply is getting really darn close. Clem is sieging, unsieging, sieging up again. There's still a lot of these links in this Nydus network are going to start getting unloaded right now. That means that Clem will need to send back some of these units. And one tank will end up falling. Perhaps a second tank might even end up dying here. Repairs not going to be in time. 14 workers do end up dying here. That's combined with whatever died on the far right side. Can't believe that it was just pure links that did that. So a tank here in the main base will take care of this Nydus network. This +3 attack actually getting delayed right now. It's a really cute move out of Serral, and maybe even an impactful move as well. There's not that many units here on the right side. 2 more tanks are moving in. Clem's army actually looking really small right now at this point. 29 kills already on this tank. This tank, the absolute MVP of all of these fights. Big Blinding Cloud is going to connect though. Can we move back? Yes, we can. Good splits from the medevacs as well here as the ghosts continue moving back. We'll survive. Beautiful lift. Perfect play here out of Clem in the defense. He's going to kill that burrowed baneling that managed to get under the command center. We're going to need another Nydus if Serral actually wants to win this game and try to break this location. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Oh no, Clem, you're in position. All you need to do is unsiege. All you need to do is stim right now. Is not quite unsieging, is stimming however. Serral is definitely looking at this and says, hey, I can do something here for sure. More tanks coming back home right now, but this is a lot of links with adrenal glands. That means that these tanks most likely are going to end up falling. A couple of links will end up burrowing, and the new Nydus network is being set up at the same time as well. At the same time here at the front, what do we have? Single blinding cloud, control. Is that going to be enough here out of Clem? I'm not so sure. Tank in the far back, 56 kills, but the planetary on the 5th is going to fall once again. That makes the second planetary death here in this game. And at this point, yeah. I was going to say, it's going to be difficult for Clem to replace that. Did not have an orbital quite ready. Alright, did have an orbital here, but not a clean command center, and does end up dying. That's going to be it for me today. If you did like it, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave something in the comments telling me whether you want some first-person games, and if so, what players you want me to first-person. Thanks everyone so much for watching, and bye-bye.